we go. So we used to use Google Hangouts, and then Google sunsetted that. So now we are using a different product, which is why we take a few additional moments here to get everything set up.
No, this is cool. I like the YouTube live streaming.
Yeah. All right, so hello and welcome everyone to High Octane Marketing, the key to real practice freedom. I am Dr. Brett Kestenbaum and I'm here with Dr. Jamey Schrier. Jamey is a physical therapist and he is the founder and CEO of Practice Freedom U. And Jamey helps physical therapy practice owners build group and sustain business and helps them improve their quality of life as physical therapists, which we all know is a major subject these days with burnout increasing and the challenges that we're facing as a group to improve our quality of lives because of how reimbursement's going and things like that. So welcome, Jamey, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing these days?
Well, that's the easy question. What are you doing with yourself?
What are you up
And it's
to?
like, oh, that's like just a 1 hour response, but we don't have that much time. So I guess the simplest way to answer that is, I got a quick little thing here. When I was in PT school, kind of a cool story. So when I was in PT school, I was one of those people that always seemed to have kind of a knack for taking complicated things and making them simple. So I was the guy that you kind of wanted to study with because I was able to, take something like anatomy and physiology and neuro and kind of simplify it in a way that, my fellow colleagues, students could understand. So I kind of took that when I became a PT and I started using this unique ability with in PT and using it for patients. And the patients really like that. They liked, instead of kind of giving the whole medical speak and kind of doing all this kind of stuff, I just made things simple and understandable and not using medicalese, and started to get real busy doing it that way. And then when I opened up my practice in the 2000s and early 2000s, it took me a while. It took me several years, but I invested a lot of time and energy, and I started to do the same thing. I started to figure out how to create a business, if you will, out of a PT business. So instead of working 60 hours a week, I was working a handful of hours. Instead of, doing the weekends and evenings, I was able to control my schedule and actually make the kind of money that I wanted to make to live the lifestyle I want. So to simply answer your question, I've used that same, natural gift that I have, superpower, whatever people call it these days. And I help other practitioners who want to grow and build and sustain their businesses. I help them do that in a way that is simplified, because as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and some of it's pretty darn complicated. And luckily I've been able to simplify it and help a lot of people. So that's what I'm doing these days.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's interesting. There's kind of, I guess, an analogy between the complexities of anatomy and also the complexity of business, which both of them, you see a body and you can't really see the complexities until you start studying it. Like in PT school, we start learning about the nervous system and the cardiovascular system and the musculoskeletal system and how everything intertwines. And that's the same in business. You have your marketing system, your sales system, you have your communication systems.
Yep.
So it's really cool that you're able to take those concepts and simplify them, because that's a skill that and something that is of value to the entire community, because things are complicated and the terminology is complicated. And so taking that language and distilling it down into something that the physical therapy community, who doesn't necessarily study business, can understand is important for all of us. So can you take us into the early days of your business, and what were some of those struggles that you had to struggle through, and what were some of those concepts that you were able to figure out that you're now distilling down for the physical therapy community?
Yeah, wow, great question. The struggles were plentiful. The first struggle I remember was the roller coaster of patience. When I first started, and I've heard this from many people since, I was good at what I did. I was able to simplify things and engage in people, and I spent a lot of time and energy, perfecting my craft. So I was getting busy. And I didn't really have to market much, but then it started to go down and I wasn't sure why it went down. And then I started to get stressed and anxious and cash flow started to bother me. And I started getting very mean to my family because, I was a little emotional when the business went down. And then it started to go back up and I was good. And that kept happening month after month, quarter after quarter. My emotional state was with the cash flow of the company. So then I started learning how to market and learning how to use some strategies to engage in referral sources and doctors and other types of things. And then I hit the next level of frustration was I don't know how to really hire anybody. Never had to hire anybody. Closest I've done hiring is me interviewing to get into PT school. Other than that, I really never done this. So that became a big frustration and challenge. And it really came to light when I had a small staff, maybe like 6 or 7 people. And one of my neighbors made fun of me. They were like, "Oh, Jamey, who'd you fire, or who quit this week?" And I went, what are you talking about, man?" And he was a neighbor. We always hung out kind of socially. And I went, "Wait a minute." So I go back into the office and I start looking through all of the people in the last year that we've either hired or let go or quit. 25 people, Brett. 25 people either were hired or let go in 1 year, and we only had a staff of 7.
Right.
That's when I was like, oh my God, I really don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the next big thing. The other was financials. Really getting a hold of how my business was doing from an objective standpoint. Part of it wasn't I didn't know what to do. Part of it was I was kind of scared to know the truth. It was easier kind of knowing the truth in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big issue. And I can go through the challenge of not being at home. There's just one story where I went into the office as I normally did on a Saturday just to catch up on the paperwork. We didn't have Saturday hours at the time. And I thought I spent just a couple hours there opening up the mail, getting some note done, just kind of preparing for Monday. And all of a sudden I looked at my phone and there was 10 text messages from my wife. And I'm like, what's going on? And I call her. She goes, "Where are you?" I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's Jack's first soccer game. You were supposed to be here a half hour ago." Oh my God. Right in the heart. I was only supposed to go in for a couple hours, but I didn't realize I was in there for 4 hours doing stuff. That hit me, that hit me really hard. And that was one of the turning points that I was like, you know what? You better figure out how to understand what time management really is all about, which is creating a team of people, understanding how to put in systems so your team can operate, and getting a hold of the financials of your practice and the marketing and all the other components of what a business is. And that's really what, those things really were like the catalyst that, forced me to start learning how to do this.
Yeah, I love that. And those are great explanations. And you start out as essentially the gunslinger where you're doing everything and you understand how to see the patients and you can build a patience, and then you start building up this knowledge base, but then you start getting to these new levels where you want to delegate, and that comes with new challenges and responsibilities. And then you start seeing how your sales system and your marketing system and the way that you speak to your patients, your referral systems, all that intertwines. And there's no way to go through it but to struggle. But it's great when there are people that are helping guide you, because it's either you can take 10 years to figure it out, or somebody can give you this little piece of information and save you literally 5 years of time, which is a fascinating
Yeah.
piece of the whole thing.
You're going to invest no matter what.
Yep.
I mean, it's like school. You invest in school, hopefully you come out of school much better than you are in your business. You're going to invest in your business one way or another. You can invest time and hopefully figure it out, or you can learn from others. I did a combination. I invested a lot of time and a lot of heartache. And then finally I said, you know what, let me learn from people that have done this. And then I invested with them. But the ROI, the return is always so much greater. So I'm with you 100%.
So now you've been working with a lot of practices across the country. And what are the biggest challenges that you've seen some of these practices have?
Yeah, the biggest challenge that I see, and I'm going to go a little bit not in the weeds just yet. We can certainly dive into the details and the nitty gritty. The biggest challenge is this: you're working with very, very smart people, because we had to get into school. To get into school, we had to have good grades. We had to do well in school, and then we had to pass the boards. Not everybody can do that. We're a very fortunate few that have been able to do the work required to do that. The reason that's a challenge is because you are very gifted and talented as a clinician, but you don't understand the business that you're in. And that's what creates the frustration. So the first challenge is you're smart, so you should know business, although we think, but we don't. The one thing we know how to do is work hard. And I've never met a PT or any other professional, chiropractor, dentist, you name it, that wasn't afraid to work hard, because that's what we had to do. But in business, what happens is you start working hard and your hours get sucked up. And the only thing you don't have more of is time. So because we're this intelligent people and we know how to work hard, we try to do it ourselves. And that's why we end up working 60, 70 hours a week. And that's what then causes the frustration. And then for many of us, we look in the bank account, we're like, man, I'm doing all this work. I'm still not making that much money. I could be working home health making more. And there lies the real frustration, that it's like, I'm now trapped in my own business. Mm-hmm. So that's really the challenges we have as business owners, small business owners, in what I call the smart professions, such as physical therapy, medicine, dentistry, accounting. These are smart professions. So we're not alone in this, but it is a epidemic. If you want to dive into more of the nitty gritty of what specifically challenges people, aside from that, it comes down to our inability to generate consistent referrals. Mm-hmm. I've never met someone that couldn't generate referrals. It's consistent referrals, which requires, of course, a system, which then leads to the next problem is we don't know how to manage our time well, because we are doers. We like working. And that's not how to build the business. It's not that you don't have to work hard, but you really have to work on certain aspects of the business that will allow you to be a little more free. So those are the biggest ones. And then that leads to, the issues with hiring and how to communicate with your staff and how to create a great environment and culture for them. And of course, the other part, I just got off a call today with a PT practice owner, and he flat out said, Jamey, I know what to do with my metrics and financials. He goes, I just don't. I don't know why. I just don't. So, one of the challenges is sometimes we know what to do, but we just can't seem to implement to do it, which again is around time management. So those are three big ones that I see.
Yeah, and those, it's so important for people to understand that, because for a lot of businesses, one of the biggest challenges is delivering the product. making a great software that works, creating a backpack that people want to wear, whatever it may be. For a lot of companies, it's that product development. As physical therapists, we know how to deliver the product. The product delivery is easy. It's how do I connect with the people and get them into my practice so that I can deliver the product that I know how to do. So right when you come out of school, well, maybe not right when you come out of school, but very quickly after you come out of school, you are equipped to deliver this product for people. And now the question is, how do we get more patients? How do we get more clients into our practice so that we can treat them and deliver that type of care that we know and we're proud of? So take us through that. When it comes to marketing, when it comes to generating these referrals, what have you seen are some of the common mistakes that practice owners make? And then what have you seen are some of the actions that practice owners can take to correct that and help start building that lead gen pool, the referrals for their business?
Yeah, great question, much needed one, and I want to dive into that. But first, I want to kind of set the stage, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at a neighborhood function, and the neighbor comes up and says, Jamey, what do you think about, you're a PT, right? And I said, well, yeah, I am a PT. Luckily, he didn't call me a chiropractor. Most of them, they call you all kinds of stuff, or a trainer. Nothing wrong with that. They just always never seem to call me the right name. But he said, you're a PT. I said, yeah. He goes, what do you think about this? And he was sharing with me a PT clinic that was close by that he was thinking about going to. And I said, what's going on? He goes, well, my back has been killing me for a long time. And I was like, all right, well, this place is, certainly convenient. Is that what's most important to you? And he goes, well, no, I want the best. I want a specialist that can help me with my back. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what I would do is I would go see Zach and his team. Now, Zach is a PT, I know, and he wasn't 5 minutes away like this practice was. It was about 25 minutes away, but close enough to the guy's work where it wasn't like, okay, it's a little further away, but hey, if he's the best and that's what I want, then cool. So he leaves. He goes, thanks a lot. I don't talk to the guy for like 3 weeks. The guy, I see him at some other neighborhood function, and he goes, Jamey, thank you so much for referring me to Zach and his group. And I went, oh, cool. I'm glad I could help. I said, so what happened? He goes, well, I went in there and he, looked at me, and then he, told me what it was going to be, what it was going to cost. And it was like, $3,500, which I was like, I didn't expect that, but hey, if he can help me, what the heck? And I've actually referred him somebody too, because they're just so awesome. And a buddy of mine needed someone as well. So in one instance, Zach just got a $3,500 client, an additional $1,500 client. So that's $5,000. And it cost him nothing because I recommended to go there. Zach is he doesn't accept insurance. It's kind of one of those cash-based boutique places that wasn't totally convenient to the guy where he lived. That is what marketing is. More specifically, that's what relationship marketing is. And that's what we teach. It's all about creating, nurturing, and sustaining relationships, because professionals, when you're in a professional business like ours and you have a problem, you may go on the internet to look it up. I got back pain, what should I do? But ultimately, you are going to ask somebody, who should I see? We call that word of mouth, but it's really deeper than that. And that is the way to build your business now and for the long term. And here's the best part, Brett. The price tag on doing that is next to nothing. Because relationships do take some time, but what they don't take is throwing a bunch of money at stuff. And that's where the challenge is. We think the shiny toy out there. We think, oh, it's Facebook this week. It's LinkedIn. It's this week. Oh, it's SEO and content and all this kind of stuff. The bigger picture, it's about relationships. And if you're going to do this, let's start at step one. And I can certainly share what step one is, give people some tips on that. But that's kind of my intro story to relationships and how they work and how you get referrals from people.
So now when you describe relationships, are you talking about networking in your community? Are you talking about just being a good person? What do you really mean there?
Yeah, another good one there. So yeah, being a good person, yes, that's nice. It's not going to really make you a lot of money. However, being authentic and genuine is part of who you have to be to make this really work for the long term. But just sitting there and saying, I'm a good person, you should come see me. No, it's a little bit more than that. So here's how you first do it. We all need to get very clear on who our target audience is. If you're not clear on who your target audience is, you can also say your target market. If you're not clear on that, you can be very overwhelmed trying to reach out to every possible thing in the world to generate patients because you're desperate. I did that. I just wanted someone that had insurance and a pulse. And honestly, the pulse was optional. It didn't matter to me as long as they had insurance. What happened was I started to treat people that I really didn't deliver my best service, that really didn't fit the mold of our clinic. We're outpatient, high energy, orthopedic, performance, athletes. And I had a bunch of chronic pain, Medicaid patients in my clinic. It wasn't working for them, for us, or my other patients because I wasn't crystal clear on who my target audience was. So that's one. You want to get very clear on who you want in your clinic. Once you're clear on who you want in your clinic, the next step is to look around your community, to look around your existing relationships and determine who has influence over this target audience. Once you know who has influence, it's as easy as reaching out to them and either deepening the relationship you have with them, depending, let's say it's a doctor that you don't know well, they've referred you here and there, but you don't know well. How about reaching out to the doc and maybe set up a time to kind of go in and learn a little bit more about the doctor? If you go in with the attitude as I'm just going into the doctors, I want them to refer me more people, I think you're going to miss the boat on it. I did that. You missed the boat on that. So you have to look at this relationship thing as one of my favorite metaphors is the dating metaphor. Have you heard this one, marketing and dating?
Probably not. I don't think so. I don't know marketing and dating, but.
Marketing and dating. So marketing is very similar to dating. So let's say you went to a party and you met somebody and you went into a corner, started having a little chit chat, and then you went to the girl and you said, you know what? Would you want to go away with me for a weekend coming up? I'm headed out to DC. You're in San Diego. I'm headed out to DC, and hey, you want to stay with me for the weekend? Well, she'd probably be like, okay, you're nuts, and walk away. And here's the reason why she would most likely do that is because the level of trust, the level of credibility, the level of engagement that you two have does not equal what you're asking of her. Now, if you said, hey, you know what, I'd really like to see you again, would you be up and grabbing a coffee? Chances are she'd be like, yeah, sure. Because it's a lot less risk, a lot thing, we can still get to know each other. Well, for some reason, and I'm guilty of this too, for some reason, we go to doctors who are human beings and we basically say, do you want to go away with me this weekend? Because I'm really good at what I do.
Right.
And we get upset when we spend 5 minutes in the doctor's office and then we turn around the next day, the doctor didn't refer me anybody. what you're asking of them is not in proportion to the relationship that you guys have. So when
Right.
you start building relationships with people, yes, it may take a little longer, but you're trying to establish a sustainable long-term relationship. And you don't do that by going to the doctor saying, hey, can you refer me anybody? Great, I'll be back in a few months to bother you again. That is not how you're going to do this. If you want to do this the right way, for small businesses. Large businesses, it's the same principle, but they got deeper pockets. So there's lots of other things they can do that you can't afford to do. Because when you build a solid relationship, they don't go away immediately either when the competition tries to go in. So that's how you do it. We call this direct outreach. You're reaching out to your existing referral sources, referral partners, influencers over your ideal audience, and you're looking to deepen that relationship. You're looking to see how you can, help them. What can you do to work with them to maybe help some of their struggles and needs. So that's one thing that you can do immediately.
Yeah, those were great points. And starting with your target audience, and as you described, if you're trying to talk to everybody, you're going to end up speaking to no one. The biggest reason is because there's going to be so much competition. If it's, I want to treat patients, well, so do the chiropractors and the orthopedists and the physician. Everybody wants to treat them. So now you're competing not only with other physical therapists in town, but every other profession, including the athletic trainers and the personal trainers and they don't even have a title people. Every single person who wants to talk to everyone, you're competing with them. But
Right.
I was talking to a physical therapist the other day, and they are so niche, combat athletes, helping improve performance for combat athletes, that when they are speaking, the people who are listening, the combat athletes, they hear them because they're like, wow, this message is specifically for me. And there's no other PT around, there's no other trainer around, or maybe very few, competing now with two people, where you might even be able to form a strategic relationship if they're a personal trainer or whatever it might be. You have services
Sure.
they don't. So that was a great point there. And then the trust and familiarity. And a lot of that conversation goes into brand and why it's important to always be building your brand and helping build the brand with the association of the way that you want people to see you. So is it are trust the words that you want to use? Are expert the words you want people to
Yeah.
associate with you? Are the best in town the words you want to associate with you? And that's a little bit higher level for people. But let's let's dive in a little bit and see if we can get some information that people can take home with them. So when they're thinking of marketing, what is step one? Where do they begin? I know you're mentioning relationship and those type of things, but what is an activity? What's an action that people can take there?
Write a list of 40 people that you either currently know that refer to you, that or that could refer to you. That is a very specific action step. Once you have that, determine how you want to engage with them. Is it through email? Is it through text? Because you have a great relationship. Is it on the phone? Is it through a certain event that might be coming up? Just determine the mode you want to connect with them and reach out. That's it. If it's someone that you already know, one of my favorite lines, and some people listening that might be listening to this may have heard this. Hey, John, just checking in. How things are going? How are things going in your world?
Mm-hmm.
Jamey. Now, I know John. We have a good relationship, and I can talk to him like that. Now, if I don't know John and he don't know me, that's probably not a great way to begin. But if you know John and you know 10 Johns like that or Janes,
Mm-hmm.
send out a quick email to all of them. And you know what? You're going to get people that respond back to you. Hey, man, I'm so glad you reached out. I was thinking about you. Oh, that's great. Hey, let's catch up. What's good for you? This doesn't have to be complicated. Remember I talked about complicated to simple? If it's complicated, don't do it. This is simple. So write the names, reach out to reach out to them. That's step one.
Yeah, and what's I guess I'll call it crazy at this moment is that the reach out part is where so many people have to block. It's that fear. It's what are they going to say? And then they don't take that step, and you sit there and
Yeah.
you don't get there's no response because you didn't even send an email. So have you run into that? And when you do,
Yeah.
what is the thing that you tell people at that time?
Um, Sheryl Sandberg wrote a book. She's the CEO of Facebook, and she wrote a book, Lean In,
Hmm.
and it's just a great perspective of, she was referring it to, women, and you should be leaning into this, lean into the conversation, lean into being a part of business and management and C-suite and all that. Well, I would say use that phrase lean in, but I would use it with lean into your fear, lean into your worry,
Hmm.
lean into the thing that you're most afraid of. So for me, when, because I was like that, I was afraid, oh, should I send this? You know what? Lean in, send it. There's a great saying that says action cures fear. Many smart people, as we are, will overanalyze things, analysis paralysis, and become paralyzed by our own worry or our own perfectionism of not doing something.
Hmm.
It's amazing what happens when you actually just take action, just get movement, just get momentum, right? When you get movement, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. When an object at rest will tend to stay at rest. So when you get that fear that comes up to it, deep breath and say, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, that's the
Are
great
you here to
question.
try to help someone? Then you're not in service if you don't send that email reaching out to somebody. If you're running some shady, slimy business, yeah, don't reach out to them. You're not going to do anyone anything good. But we're not like that.
Hmm.
So don't let your fear stop trying to help and serve others. And I've never seen someone do this simple strategy, this direct outreach relationship marketing strategy that we teach, and not deepen, build relationships, connect with people that turn into referrals like this. Never seen it. It's not hard, except for overcoming your fears,
Yep.
but the results are just uncommon to the simplicity of it. But I
Yeah.
care about the results, so I just continue to do it.
That's a good thing to care about. And, I think the only reason that you shouldn't reach out to people is if you don't believe in what you're doing. If you don't believe in what you're asking them, if you don't believe in yourself as a PT and you think they'd do better off going to someone else, don't reach out. But if you have a belief in yourself, if you have a belief in the product, a belief in your team, whoever's delivering the value that that this person likely may need, then reach out, because you're doing them a disservice by not connecting with them, because now they don't remember that
Yeah.
you exist.
And that's why I suggest starting with the people you do know.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I work with people, I say, create a list, create 20 names of people you already know. I've never met a person, even someone that was brand new, that was just starting their practice. They all knew someone, anyone. Maybe
Anyone.
somebody. Maybe it's a neighbor that's a part of a running group. You reach out to them. Hey, I'm starting my practice. I'd love to get your thoughts on some things. I know you run. I'd love to talk to you about some stuff. Would you be up for a coffee? It's on me. I mean, again, you said something before that is so huge in our industry, is this little thing called confidence. As smart and intelligent and talented as we are, sometimes we have a confidence problem when we go outside of our comfort zone of
Mm-hmm.
treating. Well, we all know it's getting out of that comfort zone is going to be the only thing that helps us grow. So take that leap of faith, take that chance. What's the worst that can happen? It ain't costing you anything.
Yeah.
All they can say is, you slime ball, why are you reaching out to me? You just
Right.
want to help me, don't you? Get out of here.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. So I would say start there. And then as your confidence builds, you set up some meetings, you have some great conversations with people, your confidence starts to build. Then reach out to people that you'd like to know. Hey, I'd really like to meet you. And it's a great strategy, especially when you're reaching out to other professionals, LinkedIn. A great LinkedIn strategy is reaching out to people on LinkedIn and messaging them.
I think we might have connected on LinkedIn at some point in our careers.
I can tell you exactly how we connected. We connected using relationship marketing strategy, direct outreach,
Right.
because we connected through a friend of mine who's actually a client and part of the faculty here. And I reached out. I said, Steve, who do you know that might be, someone that I should meet? And he said, you need to meet Brett Covalent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people want to see the behind the scenes, how we're having this conversation. That's all it was. You and I got on the phone, we talked, had a great conversation. We're like, hey, let's do something together. So that's what it is. That's really as complicated as it gets at this stage. As you build this, as you continue to develop relationships, other opportunities are going to come about. Speaking opportunities to do maybe joint seminars, events together. And yes, you could then explore how do you create a better experience and for your patients. And then of course you can do some digital marketing. There's definitely more that you can do, but it always is about the relationship. That's what's most important. And this is the best way to feel yourself around in doing this, that doesn't cost you anything, that has a very zero downside, that teaches you how to do this. And then you're able to incorporate that to these other aspects of marketing.
So you said something before where you had a colleague and they mentioned, I know how to do this, but I just don't. And another thing that I also hear is, I hear what you're saying, but I don't have any time. I'm too busy doing the things that I'm doing already. So what do you say to those people? How are they supposed to do this relationship marketing or even any tactics to help them build their business when they maybe they do, maybe they don't have time in the day to do these things?
Yeah, no, that is something that I absolutely hear from a lot of clients and a lot of people, especially in the beginning, because I've never had someone come to me and say, Jamey, I'm doing fantastic. Can I work with you in your program? It's always, I'm overwhelmed. I need money. I need more patients. I can't find the time to do anything. So what we do is we use a concept called chunking. I originally learned this, believe it or not, through Tony Robbins. And it's a very simple concept. To do relationship marketing, you need 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. If you can't find 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week, then use chunking. And what you do with chunking is you try to put together activities or tasks that are similar in nature. So let's say you treat patients. Treating is probably the biggest one that we do it with. And let's say you're treating 5 days a week, but you don't treat all day every day. Some days you treat in the morning, some in the afternoon, some you treat a couple hours here. Some days, a couple people that you really like to treat, you'll spend an hour or two treating them. What you want to do is start consolidating some of those treatment times. So net, you're not losing treatment times. You're just putting the times together. So when you're treating people, you can get into the flow and the rhythm of treating and not starting and stopping and starting and stopping. Most people's fear with that, by the way, is they won't come in. They only want to see me at night. Again, that is a fear. Lean in and watch what happens. It's amazing how if people want to see you, they'll figure out the time to come in and they'll rearrange their schedule to come in. So that's one way of chunking your treatment schedule. Chunking your admin schedule is much easier. Most of us will spend a lot of time on things that should take about 15 minutes, but because we're not clear on what we're doing, we kind of just mess around for like an hour. Like we check the mail, we come in, we check some emails, we open up the 10 emails that we got from Jamey and Practice Freedom U and all this other stuff. And it's like, you know what? Don't do that. Put it on your calendar. Relationship marketing, 3 emails from 9 to 9:15. And during that time, shut your door. Better yet, if you're not in the office, even better. Stop by a Starbucks, flip over the computer and say, okay, these are the 3 people I'm going to do today. Boom, boom, boom. Send, close it. Rinse and repeat again on Wednesday and again on Friday. Don't worry about whether they respond or not. Just do that 3 times a week, 15 minutes, 3 to 5 emails. for at least 30 days, you will get responses. And those responses will then create opportunities for you to meet, which will then kind of force you, which is a good thing, to chunk your time and organize your time even more.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest tool in time that I use, and I'm a simple person, is a calendar. Now, I use a Gmail calendar because it's on my phone and everywhere else. I live off of that calendar. It's amazing how many people do not have a calendar, do not have it, and if they do, they don't really have anything really on the calendar. If you really use your calendar and put what you're going to do during that time, I'm not going to say you're going to be perfect with it. You're going to have a much better chance of actually implementing this strategy. So I'll tell you one thing. This strategy works 100% of the time, 100% of the people who do it 100%. It's a 300% guarantee.
Yeah.
But implementation is everything. So chunking, grouping things together is how you carve out time. So if that person said that to me, which they have, I would just say, do you have 15 minutes 2 to 3 times a week? And I've never heard someone say no. And I said, okay, then you have plenty of time to do this.
Yeah, there's a great book by Annie Duke called Thinking in Bets. She's a professional poker player. And what she describes is, and it was because of something that you said there about don't worry about the results. So what she describes is always make sure to take the actions that you know are the best actions in the moment and forget about the results. Because you can you can do your 15 minutes for your 3 days and you can get 0 people to call you back or to email you back the first week. And you could do it again in the second week and you can get 0% of the people to email you back in the second week. But over time, the odds will play themselves out. And those emails are going to lead to relationships. Like you said, it's 100% guarantee 3 times over. And it's just that piece of advice that you gave people there. Don't worry about the outcomes. Just worry about your actions is the most important piece of that whole entire thing. Just stick with those actions.
Are you a basketball fan? NBA?
I am a Knicks fan, I guess,
Okay.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
All right. So, well, I won't use the Knicks as the example. I'll use Philadelphia. I'm a Wizards fan, so we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia was a terrible team for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the management kept saying, trust the process. Don't judge us on the results yet. Trust the process. And now they're one of the best teams in the league. And it's because they stuck to the process of building the team through the draft and then eventually through some key trades, but building it through the process of let's get the right people. And I don't think I know that most of us, when we go down the wrong path in our business, is because we make reactive emotional decisions that take us off whatever path we're on that was about to give us the results. And because we are an ADD world, because we are disconnected, believe it or not, we are humanly more disconnected now than ever, even though we're connected through technology more than ever, but as human beings, we're not. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to stay focused on anything. So that's really the game here, is staying focused, staying with the process until you start to see those results. And again, you don't have to do this for a year, just do it for 30 days, right? Do it for a week, start with a week. And you start to get results, and then the results give you confidence to stay with the process. But that's the key. Can you do the process long enough to get the results to give you the confidence to continue to do it? And that's the hardest part of this entire thing, is that initial 30 days or whatever that time frame is.
Yeah, the initial 30 days is a critical piece there. And when we're talking about results here, obviously people have to have goals, and each person's goals are going to be different. And you're coming from Practice Freedom U. So can you describe to me what your goals were? What is this freedom piece? What does that mean to you? What were you looking for?
So I shared some of my war stories when I was in practice. I've always had this drive to, I want to help people, I want to serve people, but I also didn't want to be tied down to trading money for time. Physical therapy right today literally trades money for time. I mean, we build time. We don't build our expertise. We don't build our ability to get people better. We just build units of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that from a very early stage of business. And I went, I'm going to get trapped in my own business. And as I read books, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber was a very powerful book. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was a powerful book. And there's many others. And these books kept confirming that I'm going to get trapped in my own business. And that's not what I want. You know, I grew up, my dad, you know, he's from the old school, working 6 days a week, working his butt off. And we still struggled with money. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to go down the same path and not be there with my family and not have the choices that I want. That's what the big motivator was for me. So freedom doesn't mean necessarily sitting on a beach and drinking pina coladas. Freedom just means I want to have control over my schedule, control over my time and what I do with it. I never want to ask when I can take a vacation. I always want to have the money to live the lifestyle I want. I don't live an extravagant lifestyle by choice, but I want to have the money to do that. I want to make sure my wife can live the lifestyle she wants, and she doesn't want to work. So I wanted her to be at home. I wanted my kids to be able to go to private school. I wanted my kids not to grow up with I want them to respect money, but I didn't want them to feel like they had such issues with money, because I've had lots of issues with money over my lifetime because of things that I grew up with around money. That's what freedom was to me, and that's what practice freedom was. So when I talk to people and I say, well, what is it that you want? People tell me their story. Sometimes their story is, hey, I would just love to cut my schedule down from 40 hours a week to 20 hours treating. That would be freedom to me. And I say, that's awesome. Some people want to make another couple $100,000 a year. Some people want to sell their business in the next 3 years and try to maximize their EBITDA and their business, their profit. So it's giving yourself permission to really say, what do I really want from this business? That's what practice freedom is. And then, of course, it's creating then, so how are we going to get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen so many people who have that, who have the thought process of how do I create freedom for myself? And a lot of times I do see them get either trapped in their own business or not take those initial steps to even start down the path of, you know, how can I create my future for myself? So what have you seen through your teachings with a lot of your clients? How have you seen them get there? Have you found people where you've been able to say, hey, look, you know, this might be challenging, but here are the steps that you take, and these are the results that you can get at the end?
I am one of our principles is gratitude. One of the things I live by is gratitude. And I am just so grateful that I get to work with the people that I work with, the different practice owners. And I'm so honored to work with them, because I know how difficult it is to, first of all, give yourself permission to think bigger than just in the moment, and then have the fortitude, have the guts. There's a book called Grit. Have the grit to actually do it, knowing that you're still fearful, but doing it anyways. So I just love working with my clients and working with my team. And, you know, I'm not going to say everything's been just a bed of roses for everyone, because that's not really how this works. But the results that many of them have gotten, because they didn't shy away from that fear, they leaned in, have been amazing. I've seen stuff that literally people I've talked to would not believe until they actually meet the person. And the person goes, no, I did quadrupled my business. And we're not talking quadrupled from 10 patients to 40.
Yeah.
We're talking from 200-300 to 1,000 visits in Alaska. My client, Aisha, lives in Fairbanks, Alaska. It ain't a huge population. And she did it there. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And it affects her kids, and it affects her relationships. And there's another person, Steve Thompson, and you and I were talking about him earlier. Steve is in San Francisco. And he seemingly had a wonderful business, $1.5 million in revenue, couple locations. He was miserable. He was working 7 days a week, and he was just about to just like, you know what, forget this. He was going to sell it. He was going to sell it to one of these franchise thingamajigs. And he just said, no, I'm going to build this. And now he works for us part-time. That's how much time he has, works for us. And his business has gone up to like 2.5, 2.6 million. I mean, these are real results. And I mean, there's so many other stories. Zach, I shared kind of the story with him about what relationship marketing is. Well, Zach's a real person. Zach has a small business, and he was just a little boutique cash-based guy. 13 visits, charging $100 a visit, and within less than a year, he's seeing 60 visits a week, charging $200 a visit, just in a little teeny small cash base. Has a couple other people working for him, and is loving it, and is doing so well, and is giving the opportunity for other people who want to work in these niche boutique practices opportunities to work. So there's so many great stories of people that I've worked with, that people I've had the pleasure of working with. And what I've realized is it isn't the strategies, it isn't the methodology that we use. It isn't the struggles that you have, or the vision that you want. It really comes down to, this. How bad do you want what you want? And is what you want, truly what you want, greater than the fear of what if? When what you want, and tired of being in the situation, the struggle that you're in, is greater than that perceived fear that you have, it's amazing what people accomplish. When fear wins out, people don't really change. This kind of, the months and the years pass by. They always have reasons why something doesn't work. Oh, it's the competition. Oh, it's insurance. Oh, it's Medicare. There's always a reason why something doesn't work. But I'm here to tell people, whoever listens to this and watches this, you can do this. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're from Alaska. I don't care if you're from, a small little town with 2,000 people. I do have a client in Nebraska. There's more cows than people, and she was able to double her business. Yeah. It doesn't matter the excuse. You can do this. And you know what? There are people out there counting on you to do it, because there's 150 million people in this country that could use and benefit from our services. And it's up to us to create a business that helps delivers that, while we continue to have the type of life we want. You can have it all.
Yeah, well, you got me amped up. But I am a believer, and I can tell you firsthand that when you start something in the beginning, there's a lot of struggles, and it is about that grit. It's about that determination. How much do you want it? Because you will go through the initial pains, just like your clients will in physical therapy. In the beginning of their rehab, they will go through those initial pains to get better, but you stick with it. And in the end, we're building those foundations. That's why our profession, when we talk about physical therapists, and then when we have a conversation about chiropractors and we describe our methods and we describe theirs, our methods are the ones that are those long lasting ones. Now, I'm not trying to get into a PT versus chiropractor here. I'm just trying to help describe something in a language that people can understand. But that's what you're describing here. It's putting in that work to get the result that you want. You build that foundation, you get those skills over time, and then you're a more valuable person for it. Not only a physical therapist, but you'll learn all sorts of different skills. We don't have much more time here, and I would like to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about Practice Freedom University and what it is, and why people should attend it.
Yeah. So, Practice Freedom U, I wanted to add the U, kind of the university feel, because it's a place where, a safe place for business owners. There's not a lot of safe places for us. A lot of people don't talk about business, and God forbid someone actually tells you the truth. Besides, how's it going? It's going great. I've never met someone who told me that their business wasn't doing well, like just in like a networking environment. Everyone's doing great. The reality is, research studies show, no, that's really not the case. So we get into a place where we think everyone's doing great, and there's no place for us to really share an open and honest relationship of what's really happening. So Practice Freedom U really comprises of three different things. We provide the methodology, that's the strategies of how to do it, but we also provide the guidance. We actually have coaches that are certified, that have done it, that help you go through this. And of course, we provide the community, some of the people that I just mentioned, other like-minded people that are all part of this. So you feel supported. When you're down, they give you confidence. So that's what Practice Freedom U does. We have different ways that you can engage with Practice Freedom U. And one thing I want to offer your listeners and the people that are watching this is, if you want to learn more, if you're interested in anything that I've said, or if you're really interested in, you know what, Jamey, I don't know what you said, but I just want to do better. I just want to generate more people. I want to create a better lifestyle or more money or whatever it is that you want, then I invite you to have a strategy call with me, just a phone call with me. It ain't a sales call. I'm not a hard seller and anything like that. I just talk to people and see what they want. And if what we do, they feel like it's the right thing for them, great. And if it's not, I will do everything I can to point you in the right direction. So I invite having that call. I don't do that for everyone because, like everyone else, time is limited. Mm-hmm. I only want to really talk to people that are action takers, or people that are ready to really want to do something, whether with me or someone else. They're ready to do something, not just kick the tires and say, let me just kind of see what you do and, think about it for another year. It's, wait another year, then reach out to me. So if you want to do that, then you can reach out to me. You can reach me directly at Jamey at practicefreedomu, the letter U.com. And we can provide that information to you so you can put it on your screen or whatever. Just reach out. We can set up a time to talk. And, I'm here to help. That's my mission.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's huge. The coaching aspect, the having the other people to bring you through things is so important. I'm fortunate to have a team here that supports me when I'm in my down moments, and I'm having my doubts, which everybody's going to have their doubts. There's someone else around that's going to say, like, don't worry, we've got this. And then when they're having their doubts and those type of things, I'm there to say, don't worry, we've got this. So there's always a balance, and life and being human, it's not an easy thing, and it's not the bed of roses. It's a psychological challenge, and business is one of the most challenging things psychologically that you can ever do. So having people there to support you and guide you through those harder times, and just to be there with you and give you a sounding board is critical. It's a critical component to success. Maybe you're one of the fortunate few who doesn't have any of those thoughts that go through your minds. Probably not.
You're an alien, if that's the case.
You're an alien. There's
human beings have those, Brett. We know that.
Yeah,
aliens,
100%. And there's your Richard Bransons of the world who just are overly optimistic, and they can just get themselves through anything. But that's the 0.00001% of people. So likely you're like the two of us who we have these thoughts, but we have other people there to guide us through them. So Jamey and his team can be there for you, and also provide you with those strategies. Jamey, thanks so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Any final thoughts that you want to share with people? I know you just left them your contact information, but anything else that you want?
I'll kind of begin. I'll end like I started. There's no reason you have to struggle. There's no reason you have to continue to go through the same problems, the same roller coaster, whether it's with your referrals or with your time or with the emotionals of hiring and staff, whatever that is. There's no reason you have to continue to do that. If you don't want to continue to do that, then let's talk, and maybe we have a solution for you. If not me, then someone else. But our profession is built on people being successful at what they're doing. So if you're in business, be successful at business. Nobody wants to work for an overwhelmed, broke schlub. Be successful.
Yeah, be successful.
Why not?
And every successful PT practice raises the entire profession. And the truth
You
is we're all in
got
it
it.
together. So always remember that abundance mindset. Your success is going to lead to your colleague's success as well. Again,
Amen.
Jamey, thank you so much. Usually there'd be a button here where we can end it and still talk, but there's no button on this thing. So I just have to end the meeting. But it was an absolute pleasure, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
brother.
Take care.
Thank you.